Investors still remain cautious. U.S. stocks fell almost 2% on Tuesday over worries about oil, though the closely watched commodity is up on Wednesday as renewed hopes of a meeting between Russia and OPEC take center stage. Here to analyze these markets is Jasper Lawler, an analyst with CMC Markets in London. And Jasper, it's good to see you. Help us understand this a little bit more. I mean, it seems like the markets still can't detach from the price of oil.
Hi, Scott. Yes, absolutely right. It's almost a direct correlation at the moment between equities and the price of oil. We obviously had that big bounce in the oil price recently off the lows. It surged 25% since reaching that multi-year low. But that was largely a lot of short covering, but also some speculation that actually OPEC would join in a production cut alongside Russia. But I think after the Russian oil minister put those comments out, soon afterwards it was denied by some of the OPEC officials, which even if they were in those kinds of discussions, they probably would deny it. But those denials have so far sent the oil price back down again. And it's a bit of a will they, won't they situation. And until we have that February meeting between OPEC and Russia and get a bit more of a concrete idea as to what their plans are, then I think we're still going to be in limbo in the oil price. And I think it could keep us off the lows. But it's probably not going to be a catalyst for any big rally until we know for sure.
So perhaps stabilizing at around $30 a barrel.
Exactly, in that sort of 30, I think is the key point. When we start moving seriously below 30, a lot of question marks start get added. The momentum sellers start coming in, selling again. While we hold above it, I think there's a bit of a respite, and we're looking ahead to the meeting.
All right, moving on to the rest of the markets, we've also been seeing declines in the financial sector. It's the worst performing sector since the start of the year. Would you attribute that to oil as well, that the oil slowdown could affect credit markets?
That's definitely a part of it, but I think the reason the financial sector has been underperforming is, in large part, why it's been underperforming for a while. There was a hope a couple of quarters back when we first started talking about a Fed rate hike, then actually maybe interest rates could start to gradually recover across the world, and that would be good for bank lending. Subsequently, US economic data has come in a little bit on the weak side, and we're starting to hear comments from Fed officials. We heard VP Fisher talking just the other day, paring back his expectation for 4 rate hikes from the US this year. And I think it's that belief that regulations are still going to be tight on banks,
right.
Fines are still coming their way, and they don't have that interest rate hike relief that could at least help the lending margins.
All right, moving away from the Fed and oil for a moment, let's talk about something that traditionally drives the stock market, earnings. We, of course, had Yahoo report last night. What do you make of the company's potential plan to spin off or sell its web business and reduce its staff by some 15%?
Well, I think definitely, the unfortunate reality is that staff reductions are necessary at this point. The company needs to cut costs because profits are sliding. But I think the overall situation is that we don't quite know what Yahoo is at the moment. And we've seen year after year strategic plans, the latest of which have, of course, been by Marissa Mayer, but none of them have really come to fruition. And so I think even if there is a sale, which I think could be a positive catalyst for the stock in the short term, still, what's the end goal of that sale? What's the company left with afterwards? That's still a bit uncertain. And I think, investors, some of the large shareholders involved in the company are pushing for Marissa Mayer's exit and a complete change of plan here, if not an outright sale.
All right, Jasper Lawler from CMC Markets. Jasper, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm Scott Gamm, and you're watching The Street.